Hi, Dr. Osuji.
Hi, Pastor.
Welcome back to my channel. This is our third recording together in it.
Yes. It's a third recording.
Yeah, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here with so much ton of wisdom and, sense and expertise and,
Thank you.
just here educating. That's what we are doing with today's live about making career choice after medical school. So let's get a little bit of introduction, and in your introduction, add so far your medical experience.
All right. So my name is Dr. Osuji Shedrack Chinechetam. Currently house officer in University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Abuja, Nigeria. And I don't know what else you want to
So far, let's start with how has your journey been from med school so far? What has been the path that you've taken, and let's just know so far what you've been doing.
All right. So so far I've been so I graduated in 2020. That's like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I ventured into a bit of teaching for medical students, and then from there I went into research. So I was with Nigerian Center for Disease Control, and where we did like medical research basically. So all those Alpha, Omicron, and all of that. Yes, so that. And then after that, I'm here doing my housemanship in University of Abuja Teaching Hospital.
Wow.
Yes, so that's the journey.
That's great. Like, you're the person that everybody wants to be like. Like, look at all the things you've done. Like, I'm not watching you now. I just am watching you from like academics, then you moved on to research, and now to clinical medicine. Well, we'll touch on all of those things. But if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe later on, you can find the link on my YouTube channel about his experience in NDC, DC, right? So we actually did a talk on that. You were actually at that particular research point where you told us everything about getting research programs and all of those stuff. So let's start from like using your experience. What was your major concern and your major fear like after medical school? Like, number one, what was the major thing? Like, if you can take yourself back to someone who is watching this video, like, and they're just finishing like med school, what are the fears that you can identify with career-wise, of course?
Okay, so I think for me, my fear was not just like an average medical student. I think I relate a lot with Nigerian medical students who studied outside the country. So their fear is not just about only career, but then their fear is that they don't want to come back to Nigeria to do anything in Nigeria, actually. So it's like both. It's like a lot of fears for Nigerian medical students. So for me, basically, one of my fears was that I didn't want to miss it. Really, I didn't want to be stuck somewhere in my life. I just wanted to always be progressive, actually. So even at so I just even as at my 6th year first semester, I was already like looking for schools and all of that to try to go to. So because I just didn't want to be stuck. That's number one. Number two, I didn't want to come back to Nigeria, so I had a lot of fears about that actually. Can you hear me, Pastor?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is there anyone who can hear Shedrack? If you can hear him, please just put in the comment section that you can hear him, because Favor is saying that he can't really hear him. So please, if you can hear the both of us, allow us to know that you can hear us. Okay, Shadi, you can continue. I think they will let us know in the comment section if they can hear us. Oh, they said they can hear. Yeah.
All right. So like I was saying, I was very skeptical about coming to Nigeria actually. So I didn't want to come to Nigeria, and then a lot of stories about getting stuck in Nigeria and all of that. So it was really scary. So that was one of my fears. That was my major fear actually. So I just wanted any route that would make me not go to Nigeria, basically.
Okay.
So that was
All right. So you actually narrowed this specifically to foreign trained medical doctors. And I think that this could may not only just be a Nigerian issue, although Nigeria quite peculiar uh, case, we can say, as Nigerians. But as well, everyone who studied out of the country probably having that fear of, do I want to go back home? Maybe not just a fear, probably just the decision of, do I go back home or do I continue? Okay, before we progress, I want to ask you a simple question.
there was another fear actually.
Mhm,
I'm sorry,
mhm.
there was another fear, and it's majorly I kept on thinking if I'm prepared to actually be a doctor, because
Okay.
there was this fear that maybe I've not been prepared adequately
Mhm.
to actually see patients and then um, treat treat them basically, or if I'm prepared to be called a doctor,
Mhm.
it just takes me back to I think in my sixth year first semester I was coming back to school, and then I've always wanted to be in a plane where they say is there any doctor in the plane, and then and then I would stand up and say oh
Uh-huh.
that
I'm a
I'm
doctor.
a doctor, blah blah, and then begin to do doctor
Just to
things.
interrupt you a little bit, I think we all had that. Of course, that's why we study medicine. We all had that desire. I've always thought about when I'll be in the theater and I'll be like, "Scalpel, please." I always be asked that in my head, like, and they'll be like, "Yeah, doctor." So, I guess everyone probably does on the line, really watching us here. They've had that. Imagine. You've watched Grey's Anatomy. You watch all these medical movies, and you've always seen yourself some way, somehow, doing those things. And then finally you're a doctor. You're like, please, nobody should see. If they say any doctor in this plane, I'm not going to lift up my hands. Okay, yeah. So I get that it was just something I could relate with. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Mhm. Okay. So when they announced that, I just sat down in my seat quietly, not raising my hand, not doing anything, because I'm like, there better be another doctor here, because if there is no doctor,
No, wait, you mean this really
I
happened?
don't know.
They announced for a doctor and you were there?
I was there, but I didn't
You
move.
didn't move. Wow.
And then just beside me, there was someone who was a second year medical student.
Mhm.
And then he was asking me that maybe we could go. I'm like, are you a doctor? He said, no, I'm in second year. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I can relate to you because that was me some time ago, but
Mhm.
now I have to think about my license, make sure that.
Mhm.
So
I get, to be honest, I really do. So, those were your fears. Can you, like, 2 years or 3 years down the line, can you say how legit those fears were, and looking at it from a different perspective, what will you say about them?
okay, really, I'm a strong believer that everything that happens to a believer happens for a purpose, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back 2 years down the line and looking at everything I've done so far, it all makes sense actually for me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, because my whole what's it called? My whole career dream is to become a physician scientist actually. So
Mm-hmm.
doing both clinics and doing research, and then in the past 2 years, I've been able to do research and I've been able to do clinics.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm doing clinic right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it all makes sense to me really finally that it's all coming together.
Well, all right.
So really, those fears were how was the English said?
Unfounded. That's
Unfounded.
the English, but I really can't define it. So I think we're making sense though. If anyone can help us define unfounded, please, you can help us define in the comments. But I think we're using it in actually the right context. Okay, so I just wanted to add also, maybe you can just let people know that it takes time to grow into the knowledge what you were expecting yourself to do when you just got out of medical school. Um, Things that were looking difficult for you now, I guess they're a bit easy, although there are things that may be ahead
Yeah.
too. So, can you shed more light that it takes time to be that person that you have watched in Grey's Anatomy or thinking in your head? So, how has time helped you to actually improve your skills and become more confident as a doctor? And have you over time discovered that even when you finish medical school, when you thought you didn't know stuffs, later on you found out that yes, it wasn't like you had all the knowledge, but as long as you studied a little bit, you knew something.
So, really, like you said, it takes time actually to be able to know, to be able to like basically grow into the person you are seeing in your head actually. So it takes a lot of so you just have to be intentional about it really. So I used to think that straight from medical school, I'm going to be like this like great researcher, and like doing both clinics and what's it called, and
Research.
research. But then really and then because of that thing I had in my head, I didn't want to say another thing. I didn't want to settle for any other thing. But then I think looking back now, 2 years down the line, all I can say is that really that it's a process really. It's a process. You don't have to like it all won't happen at once. But then if you're intentional about where you're going to, gradually it will all make sense.
Okay. Let us talk about something that you're passionate about, and I am also passionate about as well, which is non-clinical medicine. So I really love, especially with my channel, maybe just because of my own selfish personal reason, to really tell people that it is okay to desire to study medicine, but I'm a firm believer that we don't all have to end up in scrubs, white coat, and just the traditional, like either you are in medicine or surgery, you know, the most popular specialties that are around there. So there are more clinical options. Like it doesn't make your medical degree less important, although it's becoming gradually popular. So what will you say is the difference between research and clinical medicine? You know, let's start from there, in the sense that you had a little non-clinical approach, in a sense, like having research experience, and now you're doing your house job. What's the difference?
Okay, so I usually tell people that really that you know when I was doing research, first when I was doing research and I tell people that, oh, I'm doing research, and they're like, oh, so that means you're not practicing, and I'm like, I'm practicing. I'm practicing. I'm not just practicing medical medicine, but as for medicine, I'm practicing medicine because there are a lot of applications of applications of medicine you will see in research too actually. So things you know and all of that, or things that you would do because you are a medical doctor. So or things you would have to apply in research because you're a medical doctor. So sincerely speaking, I think whichever path anyone decides to go after medical school, it's not what's the word? It's not what's it called? An unorthodox method actually, or an unorthodox pathway. Because I used to think that okay, if you do anything aside from clinical medicine, then you've left medicine. But the truth is that clinical medicine is one part of medicine. There are other parts of medicine actually. So I like to tell people that really that you can do anything you want to do. You just have to relate it to medicine. For example, I was speaking to a friend some weeks ago, and then she said that oh, she doesn't like to do that. She doesn't like medicine. I said, okay, what do you like? She said she likes things to do with the internet, things to do with digital stuff, tech stuff. And I'm like, have you heard of e-medicine before? So I'm like, once you have that degree, really, you can relate it with anything you want to do in life. So I mean, we have e-medicine right now. We have public health. We have people who are fitness enthusiasts. You can go into like maybe nutrition, diet, diet, diet.
Can become a dietitian. Diet, yeah. Yes, dietitian.
Yeah. So that, and then basically just different things. You can branch out to almost anything really as a medical doctor.
Just even talking with you, I think I'm going to try to bring Dr. Ruth to maybe a live session like this too. She had a whole, because she's doing her residency now in public health. She had a whole like experience working as a dietitian in the hospital, and she said that there's a hospital. I think I have on. If you watch the video I made with her, she was saying something like there's a specific branch that just deals with even helping people with sleeping problems and food, and still practice. So I think many of the things we say people are living medicine, I think it's just a limited knowledge. Maybe you are living clinical medicine or practice, but it doesn't really show that you don't have passion. Many people think I made a mistake studying medicine, but I feel like it's just that little gap between connecting what you really like and finding that space in the medical world. Okay, now that you're having a little bit of clinical experience, do you think that it is important, at least for every doctor to, even if you want to go the non-clinical path, do you think that getting drained, or let me use that word, I know it's weird, having the clinical part drained out of you, knowing that, okay, I did it all, like I did all the clinical rotations and I'm done, I gave my best, I did well, but I finally found out that doing it like this, I don't even want a part in this at all. Do you think it's important, or one can just go straight into non-clinical practice? Of course, you're just talking with your own experience, and it's your opinion. Any other thing can work for anybody we know. So feel free to share from your own perspective.
I believe really that if you are absolutely sure that clinical medicine is not for you, then don't do it. Don't even do it, because you would end up every day just regretting why you entered clinical medicine.
Can I ask, are you talking from experience?
No, I think for me, a part of me likes clinical medicine, so that's why I'm not finding it all shades of stressful or stuff like that. So I'm actually enjoying it to an extent, except when the Nigerian factor plays in. But then generally, I'm enjoying.
Briefly, what's the Nigerian factor?
This thing with seniority in medicine.
Maybe it's cultural.
Yes, actually, I think it's cultural.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's not talk too much so you don't get into too much troubles. It's okay. I have a video where someone spoke elaborately about that. Just check the videos on housemanship and internship. You'll find some videos there where some people were open about some of the stuff. But I think it's not just in medicine. I think you'll find it in everywhere in our culture. So what are your top advice for someone, foreign trained medical students, probably Nigerians and Africans? What will be your top advice for anyone who is like, okay, I just finished medical school and I don't even know what I want to do, to be honest? What would be your top advice for the person to take?
My top advice would be that don't at any point in your life stop. Continue moving by thinking. So, for example, if you don't know what you're going to do, write the Mdcn exam. Try to start your internship and be thinking, if along the way it hits you that, okay, this is not what I want, really, this is something that I want, do whatever you want. But then I really, one of the things I tell people who are about to finish that, don't have any gap in your CV. So I think that was my problem.
And why? Stress why? Why is it very important that there's not this gap? Why?
Okay, so people who would employ you in the future like to see that at every point in time you were doing something. You were not lazy. You were not just looking. And if at all you had because most times whenever you have any gap, they ask you, why was this gap there? What were you doing by this time? So you have to explain to them what you were doing. So it's important really that at whatever stage you are, even like whatever stage you are, really don't have the career gap, don't have a gap in your CV, basically. Don't.
Oh, all right. Any other advice apart from not having gaps?
Really, I feel like everybody figures it out, really. Don't kill yourself because you've not figured it out.
I actually do have a video like that I recorded, I think 2 days ago. And I was saying in that video that nobody in this life has it all figured out. The only time you can be sure whether you got things right or wrong is when you are dead. And that is like the end to find out whether it all makes sense. So trying to kill yourself saying, oh, I feel lost in life, I don't know what to do next. Like everybody is winging it. Now, maybe some are winging it better than the others because of knowledge and information and other conditions. But there's nobody who can tell you 100%. I have everything all figured out. And so you stopping in life. Maybe sometimes we need breaks, active breaks, not just redundant, like just being there. At least get something doing, get someone talking to, get involved in something that will help you heal. Like keep moving on. So nobody has it all figured out. That's just the truth, and I think it's a very important lesson. Can you maybe shed some light, maybe through your journey, how this made sense? Like you kept on moving, and maybe things are getting better, career-wise.
Okay, so after I graduated, I stayed for a couple of months in Ukraine trying to like figure out what's up and all of that. But then my brother just kept on telling me, and I just wanted a straight path to the Western world. Really, I didn't want to have anything to do to do with Nigeria. But then somehow I said, okay, let me just write. Because I was always giving people advice on, oh, don't just stay idle, don't have that gap. And then somebody came to my DM and told me, Shedrack, you're always telling us don't have that gap. What are you doing?
Do I know the person?
Yes, of course.
I think I can figure out. We'll talk after the camera. Yeah.
So after I was like, oh, okay, sure, no problem. So immediately I said, okay, I'm going to write the Mdcn exam. I came back to Nigeria, I wrote the Mdcn exam, passed the exam. And then while I was waiting for intern and for the housemanship, I said, okay, let me just start. Since I love research, let me just try to apply and then see what happens. And then got into research. And while I was with NCDC, I met some really vital people who would play like a big role in my career.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I got more links actually to do stuff. And then from there, I'm now in University of Abuja. And then just how many months I've been here, I've had also some other connections really, and it's all beginning to make sense because there's maybe later we'll talk about it, but then there was a connection I had, and then it's really like it's a very important connection actually. So I wouldn't have that connection if I didn't come to University of Abuja to teach actually.
I say
it all makes sense now. And I'm beginning to figure it out. Okay, this is what I really want in my life actually. So it's beginning to all make sense that okay, truly part of me is clinician and part of me is scientist. So I'm now more sure than ever that what I want in my life is to be a clinician scientist or a physician.
Wow, so like a merge. So, but it took you like going through the whole process to finally find out exactly what you actually need. Aside that, I want to ask you, what's the importance of having like good communication skills, links with people? What do we call it? Networking. How is that very important in career choices and actually making it so far like you can learn? How important? How has networking and communicating with people, aside just what you know in your head, how does it really help you figure out things?
So someone gave me an analogy, said there was this guy who was very smart and all of that, and then but then he didn't have all these links. He didn't talk to people. He just like kept to himself. But then all he accomplished in life really was just nothing. Actually, it was just like all he could accomplish, and that's all. So, but then there was this other person who was average, but then had wonderful communication skills. So the person started, what's it called? Talking to people. These two people were actually in NCDC. They were just highlighting the importance of networking. So started talking with people, knocking on doors, and then say that, oh, do you have 1 minute? I just want to ask you certain questions. So today the person is in WHO Berlin.
Wow, this is nice. It's like you just gave us one of those motivational. It's like we should put some very nice, cool sound under that stuff. Okay, I have two more questions for you on characters. I believe that if anyone watches this on replay or they're watching now, sometimes there are things you already know, but if people keep repeating the same things, like I don't know, they say success leaves clues. So it's just simply there. If you repeat the process and add your own uniqueness, you definitely come. at a very good result. Okay, I want to ask this question. I think it's keeping my mind, but I'll ask the one before now, the last one. How are you managing your mental health, especially as an intern right now? Um, how are you keeping spirit, soul, and body together?
So, how am I managing my mental health? So, first of all, I pick the things I like to do in clinical medicine and do them. One of the things I like to do is to communicate with patient and patient related.
Mm-hmm.
So, I try not to make my work boring. So, I try to have very good communication with my patient relative and my patients.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes me somewhat fulfilled actually while I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to just assure people that, okay, don't worry, relax, everything will be fine, but doing the best we can, or just listening to people and then just basically just be there for them actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me so much fulfillment, and that really helps my mental health. So after even after we have all those hostilities that happen in medicine,
Mm-hmm.
I just hold on to this. Okay, I'm helping people, and I can see that these people are really
Mm-hmm.
these people are really great. I really I don't know how to put it, but then it's something that really helps my mental health. Again, another thing, very unhealthy, but then another thing I do is
You
that
eat. I'm
in the
kidding.
morning I was telling my friends that in the morning I take a bottle of Coke,
Okay.
a chilled one,
Okay. So like some sugar
and then
rush or something.
exactly, and then once I close from work, as I'm going home, I take another bottle of Coke.
Wow. I don't know what to say about I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. But well, I think we had this conversation before, maybe like yesterday or something. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The next question came back to mind. How important is doing some things outside medicine? Like if you like swimming, if you like singing, if you like joining a club, how very important is it to have a non medical life? And by any chance, does it really help you further your career? Like some other things that are probably outside the hospital. Just like in
Okay.
medical
So
school, some people got involved in things like probably joining organizations and helping out in probably social services and all those things that are outside just reading books, right? So we've said it in the previous conversation we had that it will help in your CV and all of those stuff. As you know, an intern now, do you have time as well to do those things? And if you do, or if you don't, if somebody does, do you think that it will help? I don't know if the question is clear.
yeah, it's clear actually. So first of all, I envy people who have things after outside clinical medicine actually doing for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So because I know someone, he's a model. He's also a house officer
Mm-hmm.
where he's a model too, and then he's doing well for himself actually.
Mm-hmm.
I know some other people who are into teenage sexual health
Mm-hmm.
actually. So they're doing that outside clinical medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So the person said that really that after he leaves the hospital, he forgets everything about the hospital,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then he just enjoys whatever he's doing outside the hospital actually, which is teenage sexual health
Mm-hmm.
actually. So to to s- to like to what's it called? To conclude on this, really, it's of utmost importance because everybody now in this present world, recruiters are not looking that they don't want to see that you're just a medical doctor.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see that you are.
We'll just wait for, I think. Are you back? Yes. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was saying that it's of utmost importance that you do things outside medical, your clinical medicine really, because now recruiters want to see that you are a wholesome person and not just some medical robots.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of recruiters actually want to even see that they're employing an administrator
Mm-hmm.
because it's very important right now. So they want to see that they are employing a leader. They want to see that they're employing who is versatile. And you can only show these things sometimes in roles outside clinical medicine, really. So for someone to show that he's versatile or is creative, it could be modeling actually. So they want to see someone who is, they want to hire a creative doctor. They would hire you really, instead of the person who has spent all his life in clinical medicine. For some other people, they want to see that, they want to hire someone who is a team leader. The only way you will be able to show that probably is maybe outside clinical medicine, you are leading an organization. For example, that person who is leading the sexual health for teenagers, the organization, it's a very marketable skill actually. So basically, it's important that outside clinical medicine or outside medical school, you have some other activities you're doing.
Yeah. So just invariably make yourself marketable. Add more to your repertoire, your CV, and so that in a competitive state you can easily stand out. All right, so we're gonna wrap up this. I don't want the video to be too long. Let's say I just finished medical school, and I met the great Dr. Osuji at the airport, and you're about to go for your plane. I'm about to catch my flight, and we have just in between 30 to, let's say, 60 seconds. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just finished medical school. What will you just tell me in a few sentences? We'll end the video with that.
Okay, so the first thing I will tell you is that do what you are doing right now.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm sorry, really. I don't know what happened again. The first thing I will tell the person is that do what you are doing right now. And what the person is doing right now is asking questions. So that's the first thing I will tell you to do. So, because you would need that confidence and that the ability to ask questions, because there's a Nigerian adage that says that person where they ask questions, they misroad. So my advice would be, first of all, what you're doing right now, it's perfect. Keep on asking questions, keep on meeting people. You never know who would be able to help you actually. So that's the first. The second thing I would tell them is that really, I feel like everybody deep down inside them, they know what they want to do, or they know what tickles their fancy. So most of them are just too afraid to admit it or to do it. So I would advise you that look down deep inside. There is something you've always wanted to do. Link it with medicine and do it.
Wow. Those are very too profound. Like from the very first, I'm not watching you. From the very first answer, first of all, it was unexpected. And I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Do what you're doing right now. Keep asking questions. And if I would just add anything to that, like when you ask questions and you get responses that are really familiar to what you want to do, implement it. And I think if a person keeps that cycle of keep asking questions and doing the things that resonate with them, like you said, number two, I think they would eventually end up in a place that they have dreamed of. Wow. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Shedrack, for taking out time from your very busy schedule to be here with me. I appreciate it. Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. I'm not really active here, so if you're following me here, you're following me at your own peril. I'm not going to promise any content right here on Instagram. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you can always like, share, subscribe. Shedrack, you can tell them on YouTube to like, share, and subscribe.
So, guys, if you are watching this video, please like, share. Someone needs this video, so share it, and then subscribe. Hit the notification bell below too.
Yes, and I'll put his channel on YouTube on the description box and on the pinned comment. And we cannot let this wisdom go to waste. Shady, I know you're busy, but you can give us one video a month. Just one video a month. Just put your phone and just advise us. One video a month and we'll be fine. But when you are ready.
I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a comeback YouTube. Don't worry.
Yeah, all right. We're waiting for that. We'll be here for all the support and everything. So thank you so much. And I'm just hoping that everyone's channel says telemedical stories, that will just keep evolving and going on and greater heights in Jesus' name. Amen. So you can also see I have done videos with Dr. Shedrack. You can look at the other videos as well about when he was in the NCDC, right? As well, and I think we also did one about passing MDC, and I cannot remember the title of that video. So you can watch those videos after this on my channel. Thank you everyone for joining, and until next time, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.